My name is Lucie Hake. In the United States, I go by Lucie Hake. ILA is a shortcut for International Little Artist, children of now and the new generation. And these children are basically guiding this organization where they want to go. So the funny thing is that we took a regular system, which is adults teaching children and telling them what to do, what not to do, and this is green and this is blue and these are the rules. And we took that system and we turned it upside down. And we are having children being the teachers and children telling the adults, this is how it is, this is how we feel, this is what we know, and please listen to us. So many times happen that actually adults don't listen because they believe that the children don't know. And that's where ILA steps in. And we create the space for the children freely to express themselves. And then we take their voice and share it with the adults and the world out there. So we are basically bridging not only children world with adult world, we are also bridging nations to nations and children to children. And then suddenly I got this idea. I was like, wow, we have a school for deaf in the next door little town. Why we just don't go to school for deaf and tell them, would you like to express yourself through art and messages? And actually we will send just to the 9 children who are deaf. They went to the orphanage, the Haitian orphanage, again, just a few weeks later, and they delivered the art and messages from school for deaf to the deaf. And the children stood up and they were closer and closer and closer coming. And they says, what do you mean deaf? Deaf like us? Are there another deaf children like us? So this was the first time ever in their life, and some of them were 13, 14 years old, that they find out that there is actually other deaf children around the world. So I keep calling this little miracle happen, because that compassion in those 9 children, by finding out they are not the only one, you know what happened? They ask, can we draw and write back? Another, I would say almost wow story for us is bridging autistic. We find out that some nonverbal autistic children, because they cannot verbalize what is going inside of them, like to draw and like to write. But then what hit me is, what about if I actually send the art and message from autistic to autistic? What about if I bridge not the same nation, but the same gift or same disability or same, I don't want to label it what it is. So we start to bridge autistic children around the world. And what we are finding out, which I cannot wait for the future to find out even more, that the nonverbal autistic children have the most spiritual message, that what you read in the spiritual books of the PhD doctors who went to the universities to learn about it so they can write about it, so they can teach us, those little children who never verbalize are actually saying the same thing. We have an autistic boy in Japan, and his message is coexistence. I believe in coexistence of human being, nature, and music. Then we had an autistic nonverbal boy in Australia, and the mother wrote the message. This art was captured when his little brother was going, which by the way, the little brother is also autistic. He had cancer, and he was spending a lot of time in the children's hospital in Australia. And his older brother was drawing, when he was seeing how the nurses are saving his life, he actually drew them as the heroes. Then I was thinking, wow, what about if we go to abused children and give them the voice and do the workshop? And we did. One girl from Chicago was over there, and she was new, and she was angry, and she was hurt, and she was abused, and she was very hurt by her own family. She just took a chair and she threw it on the ground, and she says, "Oh no, another person is here telling us what to do and what not to do." I was like, wow, this is going to be difficult. But I didn't give up. I said, okay guys, I understand that, you know, your life is going to be, it was hard. I didn't have an easy life too. And I'm not going to talk about me. This is not about you, and this is not about me. This is about other children. And I came here today to actually read to you and show you what other children around the world want to say to you. I said, you know what? Before we start to draw back and write back to inspire others, because today, no matter what happened to you in life, I am creating a space for you to inspire others, to share your story. Whatever comes to you, just open your heart, and whatever you want to share, just put out there. So I asked my friend, can you sing before we start the workshop? I didn't know that she knew opera, and she started to sing this opera so loud and so beautifully in Italian. And she was the one who had the tattoos everywhere, and she went through abuse by herself. And here this angelic voice is coming from her. And I'm observing these abused girls, and suddenly they start to hold their heads. They covered their eyes, and something was happening. I was like, wow, maybe it's too loud, or maybe it bothers them, or maybe this is too much. I was really worried. But then when she stopped, they immediately took the paper and the pencils and crayons, and they start to create, and they start to draw. And this girl who was so angry and was throwing things, she was the one who says, I don't know what to draw, and I think I will do a chicken nuggets because I love chicken nuggets. I was like, go ahead, do a chicken nuggets. If that's what you want to share with the world, do it. So she was in process of doing chicken nuggets with a green background. Well, after she was done, she says, you know what, maybe I will do another one. So she put it away, and she started to do another one. Another one, and suddenly the powerful messages were coming from her. And all these girls were doing their own stuff. They didn't even look up, and they are painting and drawing, and suddenly one started to say, well, I almost killed myself because I was abused. Another one says, well, this happened to me. Another one says, and this happened to me. And suddenly they were actually starting to talk what happened to them without even raising their eyes up. And I'm like, okay. Because I didn't know if this is how it's supposed to or not, right? This was my first workshop, don't forget. And the director is sitting right there. She says, Lucie, something is happening here. It was only a few months ago, I went to Chicago school. I partnership with another nonprofit organization, A Boy and His Dream. There is one boy, his name is Christopher, and he experienced shooting, and his father shot himself in front of him. And he's, he's still healing, but he really struggles. And this little boy, who normally walks around the classroom, he raised his hand. I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, okay. It never happened to us in schools. And he said, excuse me, am I going to be famous? And I says, wow. Yeah, of course you will be famous. You will be famous in the school, you will be famous in the Nigerian school you are going to motivate today, you will be famous on the Facebook, and we will share your story. Yes, you will be famous. And he says, okay. So we start the workshop, and we are walking around, and some of the children were just trying so hard to make it perfect. And I says, it's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. You are just expressing yourself, and you are just motivating. It's not about how perfect it is. And I go to him, and he said, excuse me, am I really going to be famous? That's how big deal it was for him. I said, yes. And he said, excuse me, can you come back? And I said, and the other children, yeah, can you come back? I said, why? And he said, because it feels so good. So that's where we tap into their hearts. Even the boy who struggles, even the boy who walks around. At that moment, I knew, and the art teacher knew, and she called me aside and says, we don't know what just happened. We tap into his compassion, and just because you gave him a tool and you gave him the chance, we just listen. You know, and maybe purpose, maybe we don't know if that thing is not going to change his life forever, because first time ever he felt he can do something. And that's what is a huge in International Little Artist in Isla. You do not have to wait and have a degree to grow up and make an impact in the world. You can do it when you are 2 years old. You can do it when you are in third grade. We have international little artists who are 2. And you know how they are impacting the world already? We are giving them empty shirts with our logo. That workshop's called Addressing the World, because you are addressing them, but you are also addressing the situation. And we have them just to take fabric markers and they can just draw whatever they want. And these shirts we collect. And then we choose orphanage around the world, and we have travel teams. So we give them the shirts and they deliver them to the orphans. We are now expanding towards public education in United States. And we have done many schools and we see the results and we see the impact. And so instead of art lessons being art and okay, let's draw, this is how you draw, and now you take it back home and put it on your refrigerator and you keep it, or you give it to your grandma, or maybe you can toss it, right? Okay, that's the end. But our goal, International Little Artist goal, is okay, let's partnership with the art teachers and let's still continue what they do, but let's bring the compassion aspect, let's bring the heart education to it. Because we will bring the why and we will bring the meaning to it. So not only that you are still learning how to create and how to express yourself. Instead of having it just on the refrigerator, you will actually impact somebody's life. I do believe that all nonprofit organizations have their own missions, their own visions, but on the end of the day, I do believe that all of us are going to the same goal and just make this world better.